Get this show on the road. A, B, A, B, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, like English. Oh, hello there, hello there, hello there. Oh, it's your intrepid host, Professor Victor Singingeagle, the Indian nerd with books, books, and more books. Here at Sisseton, Wahpeton College, Native Literature class. Let's get this party started, shall we? Today is a book unboxing day. Ready? Here we go. Let me grab my scissors. Hope I don't cut myself again. Oh, goody goody gumdrops. Ever since LaJoy, a certain appointee of a certain orange politician, took over at the Postal Service, we've been having difficulty. But this is, I don't even need to rip it open because it's already open. Hope they didn't drop any of my books. Let's see what we got. Front Desk by Kelly Yang. That's a Chinese, little Chinese American book there. What is this? I Can Make This Promise. I think this is a native book. Yes, it is. This is a book about what happened before the Indian Child Welfare Act, ICWA. I forgot what year it was, but this talks about what happens. This is by Christine Day. How back in the old days, they used to, well, how can I explain this quickly? Non-native families and the US government and Canadian governments used to have this practice where they would steal Indian babies and Indian children from their reservations, from their communities, from their rancherias, from their families, rip them away, stick them in orphanages or in residential schools or both, and then adopt them out to non-native families. And thereby trying to affect the whole kill the Indian and save the man mantra that was repeated over and over all the way up until the 1970s. The author, Christine Day, says here she's Upper Skagit. She grew up in Seattle, nestled between the sea, the mountains, and the pages of her favorite books. Her debut novel, I Can Make This Promise, was an American Indian Youth Literature Award Honor Book and Charlotte Huck Award Honor Book, and was named Best Book of the Year by Kirkus Review, School Library Journal, NPR, Chicago Public Library, etc. She holds a master's degree from the University of Washington, where she created a thesis on Coast Salish weaving traditions. Christine lives in the Pacific Northwest with her family. So this is a kid's book, primarily published by, I thought it was Scholastic. Nope, Heart Drum. Ooh, ages 8 to 12, but kid books, this is still native literature, is it not? I'll let you decide. Ooh, let's have a quick peek. Prologue, where are you from? I never thought of myself as different until my first day of kindergarten. I remember round tables with flimsy tops, plastic chairs with shiny metal legs. Books and stuffed animals were gathered around a fake tree in the reading corner. Cloud-shaped mobiles hung from the ceiling, strands of paper raindrops suspended in midair. A bright yellow sun was painted across one wall. The alphabet was spelled out in a rainbow of uppercase letters. My classmates already seemed to know each other. Everyone was talking and laughing and shouting. I was one of the tallest people in the room, but I felt invisible. I didn't know how to join the conversations, the noise. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to. Mrs. Vespucci saw me hovering near the classroom door. She hurried over and knelt before me. Her smile revealed street white teeth. She reminded me of a fairy tale princess. Her voice was like a melody, her hair like spun gold. I imagined her singing lullabies to an audience of fawns and bluebirds. Hello, Edith. A jolt of surprise. Before I remembered my name tag, a school-issued lanyard was looped around my neck, clipped to a laminated square, Edith, with an illustrated elephant, E for elephant, E for me. Wow, the teacher's grin widened as she stared at my face. What are you? I told her, I'm Edie. Oh, Edie, that's your preferred name? Where are you from, sweetheart? You're such a pretty girl. I live in Seattle. Yes, that's true, but where are you originally from? Seattle? Mrs. Vespucci laughed, but I wasn't sure what was funny. Do you know where your parents lived before they came here? Her questions made me feel panicked. This was my first test, and somehow I was failing. I couldn't speak. I didn't understand what she was asking. I didn't know what she wanted from me. Ooh, wonderful. So this is a little kid who was adopted out to non-native family and raised as a little white kid, and suddenly she's carted off to school with a bunch of other kids and she doesn't look like anybody, and suddenly she's the oddball and the teacher's trying to welcome her to class. So yeah, there's a good one. I Can Make This Promise by Christine Day. Feel free to come and bug me sometime if you ever want to borrow these books. I think this is a big old empty book. This is an empty book, meaning that I need to get off my lazy behind and start writing more. By the way, when I write, I don't use my real name, Victor Allen Blanchard Singingeagle. I use a pseudonym. You guys know that word? Pseudonym. Pseudonym. Is there an N? I don't remember. I don't feel like it. This is great quilting. I like to do star quilts, by the way. I'm going to save that on the shelf, even though it's not native literature. What is this? The Weekend Novelist. Just a book that helps you learn how to write. Frederick Backman. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry. A novel. That's not a native literature. No, it's not. Keep going. Black Elk Speaks. Oh, goody. I wanted to order this book, but apparently I must have got this at a secondhand store or something. I don't know. It came in the mail. The Year We Fell from Space. This sounds almost like a native novel, but I bet it's not. The author is Amy Sarig King, but something about it reminds me of one of the native stories. It might even be a Dakota story that says a woman fell from space and she was the mother of all human beings. And I'm not going to read it right now because I don't have enough time, and I'm going to hog on. Look, I already spoke for 12 minutes. What is this? Tree care. Oh, this is a book that just teaches you how to take care of trees. That's not native literature, but this one is. Night of the Living Res. I believe I actually read portions of this and stuck it up on YouTube. This is by Morgan Talty. I forgot what tribe he is. Let's see if it says in here what tribe is Morgan Talty. It doesn't say. I'll have to look it up. But I believe I actually read parts of this. I'm not going to do it again. And Morgan found it on YouTube, found me reading, and he posted on there because I thought Night of the Living Res was a book about native zombies. And you know I love crazy stuff like that. Just like my old pal, Tiffany Midge. we like horror fiction. And it's neat because it had a native twist, or we thought this was going to be a native twist, but nope. It's kind of sad, depressing stories, multiple stories that are all interconnected about life on the res up in the East Coast, which makes me think that Morgan Talty is from one of those older East Coast tribes like Penobscot or something. I can't remember. Look it up and tell you later. What else do we have? It says, "Yay, books!" All right. My scissors. Gimme. Ah! Oh boy. My office is looking like a bookstore. The Sellouts, a novel by Paul Beatty, author of White Boy Shuffle. This might be a black author. Yes, it is. Lower middle class Californians raised by a single father, blah, 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 blah. Dickensian. Ooh. Map to Save California. I have to read this because I was born in LA, even though my people are Potawatomi. We hung out with a lot of black people. Amy Tan, Saving Fish from Drowning. That's a nice book. Chinese. What is this? Oh, goody. This is definitely a Chumash Indian book by one of my old classmates, Monique Sonoquie. I can never pronounce her name right. It just tells the story about how the Chumash believe they came from an island, and they have stories about it, and they came from a spirit people, and their numbers got too big, so the spirit mother created a rainbow bridge from one of the islands to make it to the mainland of California. And she told the people as they're walking, because the one woman that was on the island had children and their numbers got too big, and so they had to move to the mainland. Anyway, so she made a rainbow bridge crossing from the island to the mainland of California. And she, as the people are crossing over this bridge, she tells them, whatever you do, don't look down, just keep walking, make it to the mainland. But some people didn't listen, and they looked down. And when they looked down, they fell off the rainbow and fell into the ocean. And because the Earth Mother did not want her children to drown, she turned them into dolphins, which is why the Chumash people call the dolphin people, their brothers and sisters. That's the short version. And I believe that's in this book, or parts of its story in this book. Oh, here's another one. What is this? Eagle Boy, a Pacific Northwest tale. Ooh. By Richard Lee Vaughan. Illustrated by Lee Christensen. Ooh, a kid's book. It's very short. Along the rugged shoreline of the Pacific Northwest, a village stood on the cliffs overlooking the ocean. Eagles with snow-white heads and sleek, dark bodies swooped over the village with razor-sharp talons. They snatched silver fish from the water. Ooh, that's nice. Beautiful illustrations in here. The people of the village did not like the eagles. "Eagles steal our fish," they cried. "Fly, fly away!" Yet one boy, an orphan, loved watching the eagles dip and soar above the ocean waves. Whenever the boy returned from fishing, he always gave a share of his salmon to the eagles. "Eat!" he would yell, tossing the fish into the air for the eagles to catch. "You should not feed the eagles," scolded the people. "But the eagles are my friends," he replied. The people called him Eagle Boy. Ooh, I'm just gonna leave it there because this is kind of cool. Let's show you a picture. I like this picture here where the big people are telling him to stop giving his fish to the eagles. What else do we have? I got to go faster because I already spoke for 17 minutes and 52 seconds. Figurehead. Rock Lambert. Rise of a Legend. I don't know what this is. It sounds like some kind of fantasy novel. Never mind. Keep going. What is this? Old book. Wipeout of the Wireless Weenies and Other Warped and Creepy Tales by David Lubar. Wipeout of the Wireless Weenies? This must be a kid's book, but it's cool looking. So I'm going to have to read it. By the way, sometimes I prefer kids' books. Why? I'll let you figure that out. Maybe I might even ask you that as a why do some people prefer kids' books? This is Sherman Alexie, my old buddy, classmate from Washington State. I went to Eastern Washington University and he went to Gonzaga, but we used to hang out on weekends and sing karaoke. Neither one of us drank, but we'd go to the bars, grab the microphone, and sing our butts off. He'd drink Pepsi and I drink Coke, but never mind, I'm talking too much. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, a novel by Sherman Alexie. Art by Ellen Forney. Ooh, neato, neato, neato. By the way, Sherman always reaches out of the book and yanks you into the book. That's his name, claim to fame. The Black Eye of the Month Club. Look at even the title of the section. I was born with water on the brain. Okay, so that's not exactly true. I was actually born with too much cerebral spinal fluid inside my skull. But cerebral spinal fluid is just the doctor's fancy way of saying brain grease. And brain grease works inside the lobes like car grease works inside an engine. It keeps things running smooth and fast. But weirdo me, I was born with too much grease inside my skull and it got all thick and muddy and disgusting, and it only mucked up the works. My thinking and breathing and living engine slowed down and flooded. My brain was drowning in grease. But that makes the whole thing sound weirdo and funny, like my brain was a giant French fry, so it seems more serious and poetic and accurate to say I was born with water on the brain. Okay, so maybe that's not a very serious way to say it either. Maybe the whole thing is weird and funny. But geez, did my mother and father and big sister and grandma and cousins and aunts and uncles think it was funny when the doctors cut open my little skull and sucked out all that extra water with some tiny vacuum? I was only 6 months old, and I was supposed to croak during the surgery. And even if I somehow survived the mini Hoover, I was supposed to suffer serious brain damage during the procedure and live the rest of my life as a vegetable. Well, obviously, I survived the surgery. I wouldn't be writing this if I didn't, but I have all sorts of physical problems that are directly the result of my brain damage. First of all, I ended up having 42 teeth. The typical human has 32, right? But I had 42. 10 more than usual, 10 more than normal. 10 teeth past human. I'm going to stop it there because I'm going to sit here and read. It's already 21 minutes and 42 seconds. I'm going to save this on my bookshelf of Indian stories. Chess. This is chess for beginners. I should probably give this to Professor Lee, who's a math professor. And I hear that math people are supposed to be good at chess. I'm going to have to get her a chess set to go with it. Here's a book about the Aztecs. It's a kid's book. Probably has lots of good pictures in it. Nope. Well, there's some drawings. Ooh, neato. Says the Aztecs actually had a working government and they had taxes and libraries, and I could sit here and go crazy, and temples, and whoa, they were influenced by the Olmecs and the Zapotecs and the ancient Maya. Ooh, waterworks, water, how do I say it? Hot and cold running water, all that fun stuff. I'm going too slow. I got one more. Oh, ah, woo. More books. Yay! Ah, How am I doing on time? 22 minutes and 52 seconds. All right, I got to get this done quick. How do I open this thing? Oh, here it is, right here. Gimme. Hope I don't cut myself again. Gimme. And I hope I don't cut a book. Yes, what's going on? A Wolf Called Wander. I think that's a kid's book as well by Roseanne Perry. Probably not a native. Nope. She lives in Portland in an old farmhouse. I don't think she's native. No, she's not. Okay, but it's a kid's book. It sounds interesting. That's probably why I picked it up. Wish Tree. Oh, this is a cool story about a tree that tells stories about what it's like to be a tree from the tree's perspective. My close friends call me Red, and you can too, but for a long time, the people in the neighborhood have called me the Wish Tree. There's a reason for this, and it goes way back to when I wasn't much more than a tiny seed with higher aspirations. People come from all over town to adorn me with scraps of paper, tags, bits of fabric, snippets of yarn, and the occasional gym sock. Each offering represents a dream, a desire, a longing. Draped, tossed, and tied with a bow, all hopes for something better. Neat. All right. Here's an Indian book. I don't think it's written by an Indian, but it's about Indians, Killers of the Flower Moon. I think they made a movie out of that. Osage murders and the birth of the FBI. The backstory, for those who may not know, I believe it had something to do with Oklahoma. And the Oklahoma Indians, the Osage people, had found some oil on their land. And then, of course, the Chmokmanuk, that's what our tribe calls them. I think here they say Washichu, some hoodwinkers, or what do you want to call them? Scandal mongers, whatever you want to call them. Swindlers, that's the word. Came along and tried to marry into the tribe, and they would murder their spouses, mostly women, and inherit the land. And that's how they hoodwinked a lot of natives out of the land. And it's an ongoing mess. All right, what else we got? Carl Hyacin Hoot. I love Carl Hyacin. He's not native. He's a Floridian. He writes a lot of funny, environmentally conscious novels. Very funny. He's a humorist. Carl Hyacin, again, Wrecker. Again, most of these are set in Florida, and it usually has to deal with a contemporary Florida family. And there's this one, usually a eccentric father who tries to fight polluters, and he usually does things kind of skirting almost against the law, and gets thrown in jail a lot. Ooh, here's an autographed book by Kyla Zhao called May the Best Player Win. She autographed it for me. It says, to Victor, love, Kyla. Oh, how cute. So I got to read that. It's about chess again. A little girl who's very good at playing chess. And I should share that with Professor Lee. What else do we have here? The Art of Racing in the Rain. This is a novel told from the perspective of a dog. It's not native literature, so I'm going to set it over there. 3 more books to go. Yes. The Memoirs of Chief Red Fox. I have never heard of this book before. I think I picked it up in a secondhand store. Who is Chief Red Fox? What tribe is he? It says he fought Custer. Oh, it says he's a Sioux. This eloquent memoir by Chief Red Fox, a Sioux Indian, is written sorrowfully, looking back to a good life destroyed by that super predator, the white man. Says here, this is a book that is high entertainment, yet filled with sorrow and a deep understanding of what it has meant to be an Indian and to be a white man then and now. A white man then and now. Written with an introduction by Cash Asher. What an interesting name. It's probably, oh, how nice. So again, I have never heard of this before. There's even photographs of the guy. Ooh, he kind of looks like Du Huawei. What is Du Huawei's English name? Demars. Harvey. He looks like Harvey. That's cool. You guys probably can't see that. Never mind. Um, he's 100 years old and he can tell you the truth about Custer. His name is Chief Red Fox, and he was born when Indian Territory stretched from the Mississippi to the Pacific. He could tell you a lot of things. He remembers the smoke above the battle with Custer at Little Bighorn, Bear's Eye witness to accounts of the massacre at Wounded Knee, where the white man took his revenge on the Sioux. Random recollections of a grand old man concerned about the plight of his people, immensely proud of his heritage. I'll have to have a look at that. That sounds more like nonfiction, but it's still native literature. Here is a weird book for kids, non-native. We're not from here, by Jeff Rodkey. Looks like weird fly aliens. Ever since we blew up the Earth, life has been pretty rough. The Mars station was only temporary, which is why we ended up on planet Chum with the jury. They look like giant mosquitoes and are super smart, but they're not big fans. They're not big fans of singing, jokes, emotions, and oh yes, us. That's cool. Science fiction with a kid. Here's one: Dragon in My Backpack. Why did I pick up this book? It's written by Tom Nichol, illustrated by Sarah Horn. I picked it up because it reminds me of an ancient story from my tribe about a little kid, a little girl who befriends a Chigwe, which is a English. What do we say? Chigwe, not a Chigwe. It was Mishipeshu or Mishipeshu. I can't pronounce it right. Mishipeshu is uh, a water dragon, and she liked to swim, and she befriended the dragon. And meanwhile, there was a little boy way over on the other side of the land who liked a bird called a Chigwe. It was a thunderbird. We call it Chigwe in my language. And the Chigwe, all the adults thought the Chigwe was dangerous, just like all the adults in the little girl's village thought Mishipeshu was dangerous. Stay away from her. And instead, you know how adults are, it can be. The kids didn't listen. They went and hung out with their respective animals, and they became friends with their animals, and suddenly gained a little respect, and then they crossed paths. Ooh, I love that story. I'll tell you about it another time. We're out of time. I already spoke for 31 freaking minutes, so stop it right there and remind everybody. I know there's something I'm forgetting to tell you before I knock it off. Oh, let me see. Announcements. Right. I already said this. Check your email for opportunities from Professor Fisher. Let's see. This week, if you do not log on or fill out a student info sheet, you get dropped. Native literature versus Native American literature. Oh, right. This class is officially called Native American literature, but as you may have realized, I call it Native literature. And there's a reason for that. We'll talk about it later. My phone is ringing and I got to turn it off. No, I got to finish this. Key terms that we got to look at are pedagogical resistance, aesthetics, manifest manners, and the hero twins. 331 days till Christmas. And that's all for now. We'll pick it up later when we talk about those key terms. Thank you so much for your patience. We'll see you soon. Bye bye. Stop. 32 minutes.